Los Angeles bids farewell to legendary master of the doodle. International AIDS cut to affect millions across Africa. Hello viewers, welcome back to TV Education Timor. Happy gathering with us in the Voice of America News. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Darceli Lifania. We'll bring you the latest news, sharp and reliable from all around the world. The VOA and TV Education Timor cooperate together to deliver Voice of America News through the TV Education Timor channel. Well, let's begin the news for today. Vaccination programs against some of the world's deadliest diseases have saved millions of lives over the past 20 years, according to research, but continued progress in treating by the COVID pandemic.
An emergency vaccination drive in the Democratic Republic of Congo after a measles outbreak in 2020. Efforts like this have saved millions of lives, says a study. Researchers looked at vaccination programs over the past 2 decades, targeting 10 infectious diseases across 112 low and middle income countries. They found that some 50 million lives, mostly those of children, had been saved by vaccines. They included diseases such as measles, hepatitis B, human papillomavirus or HPV, and yellow fever. The research was led by the Vaccine Impact Modelling Consortium, funded by Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
If we continued with the vaccinations in our projections, so beyond 2019, we'd avert another 47 million deaths. So huge numbers. And really what we wanted to kind of show in this paper is this is what we projected vaccination to look like before the COVID pandemic, and wanted to emphasize, these long-term effects, these long-term benefits of vaccination going into the future.
Immunization programs have added benefits beyond the prevention of specific diseases.
For example, if people aren't getting sick of vaccine-preventable diseases, then that means there's less stress on healthcare due to those infections, which means you could potentially be treating people for other things.
But the researchers warn that the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted vaccination programs and could lead to a decline in coverage.
We've got not only healthcare services stretched by possibly treating people infected with COVID, we've also got people's personal choice. They might put off going to seek an immunization just because of fears surrounding being infected with COVID.
The World Health Organization in April launched its Immunization Agenda 2030 to try to get vaccine programs back on track and reach even more people.
It would mean reducing by half the children who are completely left out of essential vaccines, the zero-dose children. It would mean achieving another 500 introductions of new and underused vaccines in low and middle income countries.
Scientists say the huge number of lives saved demonstrates the stunning advances of modern medicine and the importance of keeping other vaccine programs on track despite the COVID pandemic. Henry Ridgewell for VOA News, London.
Los Angeles has bid farewell to Jivan Gasparian, an Armenian musician and composer who was known as the master of the duduk, an Armenian woodwind instrument.
When Jivan Gasparian played his duduk, the world held its breath. This quiet man, with his apricot wood flute-like musical instrument called a duduk, managed to win the hearts of people from all over the world. He died in early July in Los Angeles at the age of 92. Hundreds of Armenian Americans and locals have come to bid farewell to the legendary musician.
Both me and my people have lost a great musician and a great human being. He has glorified duduk around the world, glorified the Armenian people, and Armenian music.
He was a famous person, but at the same time so modest. He loved his life. He was enjoying every moment and shared his happiness with those around him.
Javan Gasparyan was born in Armenia in 1928. He lost his parents and ended up in an orphanage. That's when he first laid his hands on duduk, an ancient Armenian double-reed woodwind instrument made of apricot wood.
He was interviewed once and he was asked, how did you make it? Did duduk help you become who you are? Or was it the other way around? You glorified duduk. And he said, we did it all together. We are friends. We help each other.
The duduk of Uncle Jivan, as Gasparyan was affectionately called, sang in famous Hollywood movies like Gladiator, Da Vinci Code, and Chronicles of Narnia. Gasparyan also worked with Sting, Brian May, and a myriad of other musicians and celebrities. He received multiple prestigious awards and 4 UNESCO medals, but he never bragged about it, preferring to joke.
He would always say that he himself didn't know how he managed all this.
Javan Gasparyan Jr., the grandson of the famous musician, continues the legacy of his grandfather.
He told me that I need to be a good human being first, and only then choose what I want to do in life. He always said that if you do something, you need to dedicate yourself to it fully. Friendship, play, it does not matter what it is.
Javan Gasparyan was buried on July 24th in Yerevan, Armenia. It was the musician's decision and will to go back to his home country that he left many years ago, only to glorify it and its music from across the world. For Angelina Bagdasaryan in Los Angeles, California, Anna Rice, VOA News.
Space tourism and the hunt for Martian life, 2 billionaires made it to space.
To the next generation of dreamers, if we can do this, just imagine what you can do.
The business of space tourism appears ready to boom. It started this month with Virgin Group founder Richard Branson's successful flight aboard a Virgin Galactic plane that took him to the edge of space. And just 9 days later, Amazon and Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos followed aboard his New Shepard rocket. Greg Autry is Vice President of Space Development at the National Space Society and Professor of Space Leadership at Thunderbird School of Global Management in Arizona. He tells VOA while it looks like only the ultra-wealthy and their hand-picked guests may ever see space, ordinary people could board rockets sooner than later.
When we get down to the next generation of flights, I think we're going to see $50,000 per ticket. I could do that. My wife would be very angry, but I can do that. That's a car, right? I think 10 years from now, we're in the thousands of dollars, and it is a mode of transportation point to point, and you get a free space ride while you do it. And people will pay that extra premium for the space ride.
John Strickland is at-large director of the National Space Society and has written about colonizing space. He tells VOA large-scale accessibility to space travel is now a matter of human destiny.
It was not going to be an infinite amount of time before you had the costs coming down with reusable rockets and the safety factor going up as the reliability of the Falcon 9 rocket is pretty well demonstrated now.
Strickland was referencing SpaceX's reusable Falcon 9 rocket, which NASA has used in official missions. Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic say they've collectively sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of tickets for future flights. Elsewhere in the solar system, NASA's Perseverance rover rolls closer to the starting line of a groundbreaking mission, collecting Martian rock samples to be studied for signs of ancient life. Project managers say they expect Percy, that's the rover's nickname, will gather rocks from the floor of the Jezero crater, which scientists think was once a lake bed. Experts say any signs of life detected would likely be microbial. Finally, a Russian lab module with new hardware on board docked at the International Space Station Thursday morning. The module carried a new toilet for the ISS along with the European Robotic Arm, or ERA. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News.
International aid cuts to affect millions across Africa. In Burkina Faso, one aid group could no longer be able to support rape victims of conflict.
Marie Ouedraogo, whose name has been changed to protect her identity, fled her village in northern Burkina Faso when gunmen linked to the Islamic State attacked. She trekked through the bush for 3 days seeking refuge, but was then seized by a group of terrorists.
They told me to put my daughter down, and one of them hit me with the back of his gun, and I fell to the ground. All of them raped me. There were 6 of them. When they finished, they discussed whether they should kill me, but they decided it is useless to kill a woman. They got on their motorbikes and left.
When she reached the relative safety of Kaya the next day, she was directed to the non-profit group Marie Stopes. Marie Stopes provides family planning for women in countries undergoing humanitarian crises like Burkina Faso's, which has displaced more than 1.3 million people.
The woman from Marie Stopes immediately gave me some morning after pills and gave me advice as well. I was still traumatized. I could neither eat nor breastfeed my daughter. The lady encouraged me to eat the food she gave me and told me that my life is still worth living.
Marie Stopes is primarily supported by British aid money, but Britain has cut its annual aid budget, and so have other countries such as Australia, Japan and Saudi Arabia. This will impact Marie Stopes in Burkina Faso.
We think that with these cuts, these beneficiaries will be left on their own because we do not have the funding to be able to support them. And also, many of our support workers will be out of a job.
The cuts will affect large numbers of women, says the head of Marie Stopes, Burkina Faso.
Overall, we've been able to record more than 500,000 beneficiaries over 2 years. I would also like to point out Burkina Faso's global context of insecurity, which makes women even more vulnerable.
The largest international non-profits say the shockwaves of the cuts will be felt by people across Africa in all kinds of situations and will result in deaths.
So for countries like the UK and others to be cutting their aid budgets during a global pandemic is extremely short-sighted, and we know it will put the fight back against poverty by many decades. So the UN Secretary General, for example, called these cuts a death sentence, and it really is that stark for many people.
Marie Stopes in Burkina Faso could be forced to close most or all of its outreach programs next year if it does not get its funding. For women who fall victim to gang rape, like Ouedraogo, it will mean they may no longer receive emergency birth control or support. Henry Wilkins for VOA News, Kaya, Burkina Faso.
Countries receive first batch of shared U.S. COVID-19 vaccine. The Biden administration has pledged to deliver 500 million doses around the world over the next year.
Tanzania received its first batch of 1 million Johnson & Johnson doses last weekend. And on Wednesday, the country's new president was among the first to get the shot. Tanzania is one of the last African countries to receive a vaccine from any source, mainly because its former leader, who died in March, had claimed prayer could defeat COVID-19. Attitudes toward vaccination, however, are still mixed.
The action by the president to take a new direction in the battle against the coronavirus has brought relief to Tanzanians.
I am not willing to be vaccinated. Why don't we consider our traditional solutions? Why do we have to use foreign medicine?
Despite some Tanzanians' hesitancy, the health minister assures the vaccine is safe.
Tanzanians should come out confidently to be vaccinated.
A week ago, the U.S. sent Burkina Faso more than 150,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. U.S. Ambassador Sandra Clark attended a ceremony to hand over the supplies.
There will be more deliveries in the next weeks or months.
Burkina Faso's health minister was thankful.
These doses will be used to vaccinate the people that need it.
Akuna Cook of the U.S. State Department told VOA that more doses are on their way.
In fact, this weekend, we will be delivering the largest sum of doses to any country, to South Africa at 5.6 million doses, and then to Nigeria at just over 4 million doses.
But vaccination levels across Africa are low, with less than 2% of the continent's 1.3 billion population having received one shot, according to the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Cook says the U.S. is also helping in other areas.
We have invested in vaccine manufacturing in South Africa and in Senegal to ensure that Africa can then produce its own vaccines. We are also providing economic assistance to countries that have been impacted by COVID-19 with over $541 million in assistance.
Deliveries are being made from Africa to Argentina, where 3.5 million doses of the Moderna vaccine arrived last Saturday.
For us, to make sure that our neighbors on the region can contain COVID-19 is essential.
To have received this donation means to us reaching 36.5 million vaccines.
Argentina has inoculated almost half of its 45 million people with the first dose and almost 5.3 million with two. Nearly 105,000 people have died from the disease, according to officials. Colombia, with one of the highest infection rates in South America, also received the vaccine. Its president welcomed the shipment.
Today we received this marvelous gesture, and I want to express to you, President Joe Biden, our gratitude.
Colombia, a nation of 50 million, has reported nearly 120,000 deaths. And speaking in Singapore this week, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says the Indo-Pacific region is also a priority.
The pandemic has reminded us how deeply our world is interwoven. Today, a threat to global health anywhere is a threat to security everywhere.
While many critics applaud the U.S.'s sharing of vaccines, they also say that the donations aren't enough and are no substitute for a plan to end the pandemic. Mariama Diallo, VOA News.
Well, viewers, this is all the news for today. For more information, please contact us on number 77452794. I'm Derceli Lifania with all crew of TV Education Timor and VOA. We would like to say thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow. TV Education Timor is the future inspiration.